Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a fascinating Supreme Court judgment. It's from July 29, 2025, and it deals with a motor vehicle accident claim.
That's right. And it's quite impactful.
Yeah, our goal here is to pull out the key insights on, how courts figure out negligence, fair compensation, especially when a young person's life is just completely changed. We're talking about a 20-year-old engineering student here.
We're using a detailed source from livelaw.in focusing specifically on this case. The student, Mohammed Hakkim, suffered a terrible injury amputation of his left leg. It happened after a pretty complex accident.
Oof.
Yeah. So this deep dive should give you some real aha moments about how legal thinking works and what it means in the real world.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. Mohammed's on his motorcycle, highway driving. A car just slams on its brakes right in front of him.
Pretty much. Suddenly braked, he hits it, falls off.
And then
Tragically, a bus coming from behind runs over him. Just awful.
that's horrific. And the initial courts, they didn't see it entirely his way.
No, initially the Motor Accident Claims Tribunal, the MACT, awarded about 91 lakhs, but then immediately cut it, saying he was 20% negligent. So down to 73 lakhs.
Okay.
Then it went to the High Court, and they cut it again, down to 58 lakhs, and they shifted the blame around too. They put more on Mohammed, 30%, and split the rest between the car and bus drivers.
Right. But the Supreme Court stepped in. This is where it gets really interesting. You said, how did they re-look at the whole negligence aspect, especially that sudden stop?
Well, this is crucial. The Supreme Court really honed in on the car driver's responsibility. They made a pivotal finding. You have to give a signal before stopping on a highway, period.
Makes sense. High speed, you need warning.
Exactly. And the excuse given that his pregnant wife had a vomiting sensation, the court basically said, look, on a highway where everyone's going fast, that's just what they called it, not a reasonable explanation from any angle.
Wow. Okay.
Plus, there was no evidence the driver took any precautions. No hazards, no pulling over safely, nothing. So the takeaway is clear. Drivers need to anticipate, signal, communicate.
Got it. But they did agree Mohammed shared some blame, the 20%.
Yes, they upheld that finding of 20% contributory negligence. The reasoning was twofold. Not keeping a safe enough distance behind the car and also driving without a valid license at the time. And they pointed to Rule 231 of the Road Regulation Rules, 1989, basically, the Highway Code standard about maintaining distance. So in the end, the Supreme Court landed on this split. Car driver, 50% responsible. Bus driver, 30%. And Mohammed, 20%.
Okay, so that clarifies the blame. Let's unpack the compensation then. How did the Supreme Court approach valuing what was lost? This seems like a huge shift from the lower courts.
It really was a significant shift. They looked at his future. They increased his calculated potential earnings, what they call notional monthly income, from the Rs 15,000 the lower court used up to Rs 20,000.
On what basis?
They actually cited another case, Navjot Singh v. Harpreet Singh. The court noted that even back in 2013, engineering students could realistically expect to earn at least $20K a month. So for Mohammed, described as having a bright future.
They had to account for that lost potential. Right.
Precisely. It shows courts really need to consider the full trajectory of a young person's life and career prospects, especially with such devastating injuries.
That makes sense. What else changed with the compensation?
Another huge change was the attendant charges. The High Court had slashed this down to just 5 lakhs from an original 18 lakhs. The Supreme Court put it right back up to 18 lakhs.
18 lakhs? Why such a big number?
Because the injury resulted in 100% functional disability. The court reasoned he'd need lifelong assistance, help with basic daily routines, forever. So that 18 lakhs was deemed necessary and justified for ongoing support.
That's a massive factor. Anything else?
Yes. They also acknowledged the personal impact more. They doubled the amount for loss of marital prospects from 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs.
So adding all that up, where did the final number land?
Okay, so after the Supreme Court's reevaluation, the total compensation before considering Mohammed's 20% share of blame was just over 1.14 lakhs. So ours 1,414,024,066. Then you apply his 20% contributory negligence, taking it off that total. The final amount awarded to him comes to ours, 91,039,253.
91 lakhs. Back closer to the very first award before the reductions.
Exactly. And the liability for paying that is split. 50% falls on the car driver's insurer and 30% on the bus driver's insurer.
So stepping back, what does this all mean? What are the broader implications here for you listening, for anyone driving on the roads?
Well, I think it brings real clarity legally speaking, to highway driving.
Yeah.
It hammers home how vital it is to anticipate, to keep your distance, and crucially, to signal your intentions. You can't just stop suddenly.
Right. Responsibility.
Yes. And it also shows how courts, or at least the Supreme Court in this instance, are willing to look beyond just the crash itself. They consider the full human costs, the long-term needs, the lost future, striving for an outcome that feels more holistic and genuinely just. It's about valuing the entire life impacted.
Yeah, this deep dive really highlights how focusing on those specific details, the sudden break, the student's potential future, the lifelong need for care can completely change the outcome for someone.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder.
And for you, the listener, maybe it leaves you with a thought. How much do you rely on assumptions about what other drivers will or won't do? And could thinking about this case, this responsibility to signal and anticipate, maybe change how you approach your own driving, even defensively? Something to think about.